Okay, so you're taking paper 4 and you have only one more task to complete. Actually, a few tasks related to planning your own study. So you look at both of your choices. If you studied only 2 subject specialties, which most of us just do 2, not 3 or 4. So I'm choosing here clinical. I like this question. I feel like I could answer all parts of it, so I'm going for it. Plan an experiment to investigate which antidepressant drug is more effective for treating depression. I look at the bullet points to make sure I understand what they expect of me. I know what experimental design is, which surprisingly students still don't know what that is. They'll say, oh, I'll use a lab study. Please don't do that. If you don't know what an experimental design is, maybe do the other choice instead. Experimental design is how you allocate your participants: independent groups, repeated measures, or matched pairs. Okay, I'm not here to talk about that specific question. I'm just using it as a stimulus to talk about what we need to have there besides the bullet points. You must have the bullet points. Without the bullet points, you cannot receive majority credit. So make sure you have those as a top priority. But don't lose sight of the other things you must have. Now, they might ask you to design a questionnaire, an interview, an experiment, a case study, etc. Regardless of what they ask, there are common things that are expected of you. So, for example, you should always have a sampling technique. You should always have an aim. Always have ways to measure or to ensure validity. Have ethical considerations, more than one perhaps. Don't just say, I'll give them informed consent and feel like you're done with it. And also conclude with descriptive statistics. What will you do with the data? Will you find a mean? Will you find a mode? Will you find a median? Many students forget to put in that last part. What I've done to make things more manageable is to create this acronym SAVED, saved. Now, the order of the letters is not necessarily the order you would write them in a paper. For example, I would probably put the aim before the sampling technique, but ASVED would not sound as good as saved. Okay? So if you're somebody who wants to have a checklist on your exam to make sure you have all of the essentials of any plan, I would write saved somewhere in your question booklet as a way to see if you have all 5 of these elements. Now, just listing them is not enough to give you higher credit, so make sure you explain all of them. So if you say, I'm going to use volunteer sampling, okay, where did you find these volunteers? How did you recruit them? What was the incentive for them coming to your study? If you say, I'm going to have controls, what are those controls? Are they participant controls? Are they situational controls? How are you making your study valid? And again, try to have more than just one ethical consideration, and don't be lazy about it. Don't just say, oh, I'll give them informed consent. You might want to link it to your study. So I will let the participants know that there may be side effects from the drug to ensure that they are fully aware. And I will debrief them at the end whether they had taken placebo or had not taken placebo. If you want to practice yourself, I have this little cheat sheet of how you can grade yourself. Now, this is not standard. This is not how Cambridge does it. It's just a lazy way to kind of do some peer marking in my classroom with students. So the general stuff is in the middle. We just talked about that, saved, SAVED. But there's also specific markers that you must have. For example, the bullet points, and you should have rich detail in there so that you could be replicable. So don't just say, I gave them a questionnaire. You say, oh, I gave them the brief symptom inventory or something like that. As far as descriptive statistics are concerned, I was surprised by an exam where students were not exactly sure what that meant. You are liable, you are responsible to know about this. Descriptive statistics are numbers that represent your data set. So if you have a large number of people, you probably want to use a mean. If you have a small number of people, the mean may not represent the group very well because there could be outliers, but most of us are going to use the mean. You could use the median, you could use the mode, that's up to you. So the mean is the most representative of a large sample, but it could be easily distorted. The median is unaffected by outliers, but not all the scores are represented in the median, and the mode is unaffected by outliers, but it might be useless because there might be several modes. It could be bimodal or trimodal. Be aware that descriptive statistics may be asked about more specifically in one of the later questions, as we saw on a past paper where they said explain one reason for your choice of descriptive statistics. But the main thing I really want to accomplish with this video is this acronym, okay? Learn it, love it, use it, and let me know if it was helpful.